Every year for 3 days in mid-July, several hundred people and well over 1,000 garden tractors descend on Veterans Memorial Field in Portage, Wisconsin for Garden Tractor Daze. The people that organize this event really go all out. They bring in multiple food trucks, they set up a flea market vendor area on the back end of the property. On Friday, they have garden tractor games, they have tractor pulls, they even have an auction on Saturday. But of course, the main attraction are the garden tractors themselves. So let's take a walk around and see what's here. Here's where Jeremy and I set up for the weekend with our Gravely tractors. He brought some signs for the display, and my rear cultivator ended up being repurposed as a sign holder. And right next to that, you could see a front cultivator for a walk-behind tractor. And we decided to line our tractors up oldest to newest, and by far the oldest was Jeremy's 1925 Model D with a water-cooled engine. They only made them with that engine for a few years. They're very difficult to find. Next to that, Gravely's first two-wheel walk-behind tractor. It's called a hex axle tractor. You'll see why in a second. They only made these, I believe, from 34 to 37, and then they introduced the Model L in 1938, and they made them until the end of production in 1976. So to find an intact hex axle is very difficult. Moving along, we see a pair of 1943 World War II era Model Ls. Those are mine. The one on the right I just bought at an auction a few weeks earlier, and the one on the left I've got restored with a factory circular saw blade attachment. Next is my 1955 Model Li with a ride-on wooden cart, 1977 Model 812 with a mid-mount blade, and then the first of Jeremy's two Pro 16 tractors. He's got one with a stump grinder, and then this one he's got a flail mower on the front of it, and this came from the factory with the steering brakes. That's the third handle you see in the middle. Right across from us, Gary Cartwright brought four of his Gravely's. He's got a commercial 12 with a flail mower, got a 5000 series with some sort of a modified rotary mower. I need to ask him what the deal was with that, maybe cutting little trees or something. And then he's got a Model L with a reel mower and an L8 with another stump grinder that somebody made at some point. I guess there have been a few people that have made these over the years, just they look a little different from each other. Now, the neighbors on the one side of us have this just incredible display of a bunch of different brand garden tractors, and I think every one of these is just immaculately restored. Now, what's really cool is they have not one but two of these Oliver tractors. And from what I understand, Oliver only made garden tractors for a few years, and there's not a lot of them out there. And this guy's got two of them, and there was one more somewhere else in the show that I saw. So if you want to see some really hard to find stuff, shows like this are the place to go. There's enough of it there that'll actually fool you into thinking some of these things are a lot more common than they are. What is kind of common is a lot of John Deere stuff, and I like it, and there's a ton of it out here, so there's no shortage of it to look at. A lot of round fenders, a lot of square fenders like this 112 with a pretty cool little mid-mount blade, and no shortage of 140s. A lot of 140s at this show. And there's a few of these little soil movers. I guess John Deere made these in the early 70s. This guy's got one of them behind his 140, and you'll see here in a little bit somebody's got, down here's got two of them. And another 140 with a 3-point hitch and something really cool hanging off the back. You see a lot of that at this show. You also see a lot of these Haben sickle mowers, because I guess Haben was out of Racine, Wisconsin, which is only a couple hours away. Probably the coolest John Deere round fender I saw at the show was this 110 with just an immaculately restored loader. I mean, there's a lot of these restored tractors, you look at them and you the first thing you think of is it looks like it's sitting on a showroom floor. I'm telling you, I'll bet this tractor never looked this good when it came out of the factory. Whoever did the work on this did an incredible job. It's a really cool looking little machine. And of course, no John Deere display would be complete without a set of Patio tractors. I don't know if the seats on these tractors are original. I know they were reproduced for a time, but original Patio tractor seats, the colored seats are actually worth more than the tractor is. I've got a really nice 332 here, again with a pair of these John Deere, soil movers, and got some more pretty neat John Deere stuff. Another little custom tractor. You see a lot of these custom fabrication tractors at these shows, and some of them you can tell right away it's something somebody fabricated, but a lot of them you kind of scratch in your head. They're done so well you think maybe it was a factory machine. And of course, there's no shortage of things for sale. And here we got another round fender with another loader, and a beautiful tractor in great condition, but you wouldn't want to set it next to that restored one. And again, like I said, no shortage of sickle mowers, and round fender with a front PTO, and a square fender with a broom. And I've never seen a broom like this on the front of a John Deere with an external engine. That's kind of interesting. This Sears garden tractor, take a look at the size of the flail mower hanging off the front of this thing. I was shocked to find out that was actually a Sears production flail mower on one of their tractors. Pretty interesting.
Doing good. How are you doing?
This little Case 155 is really one of my favorite articulating tractors in the show. I was set up next to this guy last year for the entire weekend and did not know this was an articulator until I saw him load it up. It just, proportionately, it looks dead on. Really nice work he did on it. Let's keep walking, see what we got. We got a Jacobson tractor and a Gravely cart. Well, you see a lot of that kind of thing at these shows. A lot of Gravely sulkies I've seen hooked up behind garden tractors and people giving their kids rides on them. It's kind of cool. Really nice Cub Cadet over there with a loader on it. I don't know if that's been restored or it just really looks nice. I've got a Case tractor. You're going to see a lot of Case tractors at this show. And this is the first year that they're having tractor pulls, so we see a lot of these little custom pulling tractors are here this weekend. They're supposed to do the pulls Friday at 4 o'clock, but we're supposed to get a whole bunch of thunderstorms, so I'm not sure how that's going to work out. This is my neighbor next to me. Last year he bought a dozen tractors. This year I'm wondering how many he's going to buy.
Did you just buy another one?
Yeah, it looks like he bought one already. Really nice guy. He buys tractors and he just works on them all weekend. Got another nice 140 with a loader. These are really, really cool tractors. And but I think the problem is you just see so many of them at a show like this that it's unfortunate. You kind of look at it and you go, oh yeah, another 140 with a loader. But they're really neat. Looks like a Patio Series 80 John Deere cart for sale. See what he wants for it. Okay. And a 30 cart. Not going to lie, at that price, I'm almost tempted. This guy here has an air compressor for a round fender. From what I understand, that is kind of the holy grail attachment for a John Deere round fender. Very hard to find. He bought that one last year, and And I didn't ask him exactly what he paid for it, but from what I understand, it was a few $1,000s, and he was happy to have found one. So these guys, they had these little Maytag engines, and I'm not too sure what they were burning in the gas, but it was keeping the mosquitoes away, so that was good. This gentleman's got two of these little mini tractors that he built years ago, and I talked to him while we were setting up, and he kind of walked me through what these started off life as and how he fabricated different parts of them, and just an incredible amount of creativity and talent to be able to pull something like that off. Yeah, pretty nice Massey Ferguson. Um, Cub Cadet, you're gonna see a lot of Cub Cadets at this particular show. And it looks like an Alice Chalmers with some kind of cultivator on the back. You see quite a few of those Alice Chalmers tractors here, and I haven't seen them anywhere other than here. But walking around, I've got to wonder. There's a lot of garden tractors that are the same 1960s vintage that all look kind of the same. The Alice Chalmers, the Massey Fergusons, the Cases, and the ones that Case made, and I know they were sold under another name. I just gotta wonder if like one company didn't make these, and the big tractor companies didn't just sell them under their names. So if you know, I'm kind of curious. Drop me a comment. I'm interested in learning the history on those. Let's keep going. Take a walk down this aisle and see what we've got. We're probably going to start getting into a lot of Cub Cadet stuff here pretty quick. And there's a lot of these Cub Originals here. And I mean, Cub Originals to me, they're kind of like the John Deere round fenders. They're just a really cool old machine. But I'm not kidding. There's probably 20 or 30 Cub Originals here. And some of them are stock and some of them are...
How you doing?
Sorry, I was my old neighbor. And some of them have been restored and just look absolutely immaculate. There's actually a few like clubs, Cub Cadet clubs that show up here that'll set up and take up some pretty big areas. It's pretty neat seeing all their stuff. This kind of some cool little crawler lawnmower thing somebody put together. This is a neat little John Deere round fender, but he's got some kind of weird lawn roller on the rear hitch, so you have to put the tractor in reverse to make it go forward. It's very strange. I don't know if that's something he made or something that some company made years ago. I have to ask him about that. I'm not going to lie, one of the things that surprised me the most at this show was finding out that Poulan actually made a riding mower at some point. I never knew that. Got kind of a neat little display of old chainsaws here. I'm not sure what the story is, if these just came in different colors and this happens to be a complete set of them. I don't know, it's kind of neat though. No shortage of loader tractors. I got some Bolin stuff here. There's a group of people that got a lot of Bolin's equipment. This one here, this forklift, that was last year's Best in Show winner. Really cool that somebody took a tractor and made a forklift out of it, and it does work. Last year he had another tractor hung off the forks on it. I wouldn't even want to think about how much it would cost to have somebody make something like that. This machine right here, honestly, one of my favorites. This is a This guy hand fabricated this entire thing to look like an Alice Chalmers tractor, and that is a flathead Ford V8 in there. And let me tell you, when he starts this up, it is an incredible sound. But I talked to him for a while last year, and he kind of walked me through how he built that. And I mean, I guess the back end of it started off as a case garden tractor, and he just kind of hand fabricated from there with it. I'm not sure what the story is with this particular one though, but that's really neat looking too. But something about putting a flathead Ford V8 in a little tractor that's just kind of neat. There are all kinds of things at shows like this, from old, original condition equipment to really custom stuff like this. Somebody made a tractor with a hit and miss motor in it. Really interesting.
That is very cool. Huh? Beautiful work.
So like I said, you'll have stuff that's either, just bone stock tractors to really high end custom work. So you get a little bit of everything. This I thought was kind of cool. It's a Cub 123. They only made that tractor for 1 year. My brother-in-law happens to have one, but there's two or three of them at this show, and they only made them for 1 year, and I'm not sure why or what the story was on them, but just kind of neat to see them out there. I don't know what the story with this big monster is. Pretty cool machine though. And I think these guys have got a bunch of pullers, bunch of pulling tractors that they brought up. Really cool one is somebody made a puller out of one of these old case tractors. Just, if you didn't look twice at it, you wouldn't realize that's a pulling machine, but really, really nice work. Got a bit of a custom John Deere something or other here. I should talk to this guy and find out what the story is, because that's a pretty cool looking machine there. And you'll see vendors scattered throughout the regular show. You'll see people selling tractors every now and then. And sometimes the prices are, sometimes they're good, and sometimes we'll just say that sometimes they're a little ambitious. But it's their machine. They can ask whatever they want for it. If somebody doesn't want to pay it, well, they don't have to pay it. Another set of patio tractors. You notice this guy's got signs on there not to touch the seats. I think those are all original seats. And again, it sounds strange, but those seats are worth more than the rest of the tractor is. So that's probably why there's a little protective of them.
Yeah, you were telling me about that yesterday. That's an incredible piece of work there.
I was talking to that lady for a while yesterday about that Cub 100 that her husband made to look like, I forget what they used to call them when they tractors many years ago, when they lift them up on like vegetable tractors or something, so they could go over the top of row crops. This is a really neat mini Alice Chalmers WD that this guy fabricated. I talked to him last year, and well, I think he spent about 5 minutes just telling me how much work he had into making that grill and that hood come together like they did. That was a lot of work into that tractor. I'll tell you, two of the nicest painted tractors in the show were under this tent, and I think it's because that guy runs a body and fabrication shop. So I imagine there's quite a few tractors at this show that he's painted. Really neat, custom John Deere looking tractor, and right next to it, kind of a very different Cub Original and different color pattern with steel wheels on it. I don't think I've ever seen one of those before. I'm not sure what the story is. It's a little different. You see all sorts of stuff here, like that little tractor. You know, just quite a variety. You know, even to just regular stock, riding mowers like that Craftsman. People bring those in too. There's one of the big Cub Cadet displays. Yeah, some really nice restored machines in here. I can't say I really understand what those little tiny wheels are, what the story is with those, but another really nice Cub original with the, I think that's Brindley made those front guards on there. Really cool tractor. Now this group shows up every year with a bunch of Homelite tractors, and I gotta be honest, before I came to this show the first time a few years ago, I didn't know Homelite ever made garden tractors. I only ever knew them from string trimmers and chainsaws back in the 80s, but I mean, look at these little things. They're cool little machines, and it looks like that's a hand crank engine on them. Pretty neat. And something tells me there's a whole lot of work into restoring those. And speaking of a whole lot of work, here's a really nice group of Cub original tractors. I said the only sad thing is any one of those tractors by itself would just stop you in your tracks to look at it because they look so nice, but you line up a whole bunch of them in a row and they almost kind of get lost in each other. Now, as many yellow Cub Cadets as you see here, there are quite a few red ones as well. Now, if anybody saw those little sign stands that I had in front of my tractors, this is where I got the idea from last year. I noticed these little signs in front of these guys' tractors, and I was talking to them, and said a guy he knew used to make them years ago, but he wasn't making them anymore. So I took some photos and decided it looked like a cool idea, and I was just going to make some for myself. A Cub with a snowblower and a cab on it. If you ever had to run a snowblower with the wind in your face, cabs are a good idea. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, this is a 332 that guy put a 430 two-speed locking differential in the back of it. He put 3-spool hydraulics in it off of a 430. And then I wish he had the hood open because you see 332's got a diesel, and he put a turbo on this thing. Really neat tractor. Lot of work into that machine. Yeah, like I said before, no shortage of Haben sickle mowers here. A couple more pullers that I'm sure if they get the tractor pulls in today that people have out there. And you see you got some rain last night. There's still a big puddle on that seat. This tractor kind of caught my attention. It's a 112 round fender with a hydraulic lift and a loader. You see a ton of 110 round fenders here, but you rarely see the 112s. I think the reason is, first of all, the 112s, they didn't sell as many, but the 112 had a Tecumseh engine in it, and it's not easy to get parts if you want to rebuild one. So maybe that's why the 112s, you don't see a lot of them here. That's a really cool looking 318, and that's a really cool 140 with a diesel engine in it. Should have talked to that guy and got some more information on that one. There's a lot of wheel horse tractors at this show. You'll see a ton of them, and they used to pretty much all gather in a little livestock building on the far end of the property. And it was nice to see this year they got a bunch of the wheel horse stuff out into the main part of the show, because they had a lot of really cool tractors, but a lot of people never saw them because it was all the way at the far end of the property, really detached from everybody else. I'm not sure what the story is with those big tractors there. There was, I think, 3 of those here at the show. They're pretty neat. I don't know if they were a custom, if it was something factory. I'm really not sure. If you know, drop me a comment. I'm kind of curious about it. A little wheel horse with a loader on it. Don't see too many wheel horses with loaders at this show, not compared to some other machines. A couple more nice little Cub Cadets. This guy sets up, I think, every year and sells some really cool, like old Cub parts. To people that are restoring tractors. Kind of some hard to find stuff. This thing, it says New Holland on it. Never seen one of these before. Kind of neat. Got a big plow on the front, and this huge trencher off the back. I'm not sure if this is something somebody made. If that was a factory machine, I honestly don't know. But a bunch of neat rear attachments here. Disker, plow, all sorts of cool stuff. Really kind of a weird looking spreader or seeder or something there. This guy's tractor is really neat. He took a John Deere garden tractor, left it normal on one side, and painted it like a patio down the other side so that you can see the difference between the two. And he's got a blitz fogger on there. As bad as the mosquitoes are, I'd like to see if that thing works. And again, really no shortage of Haben sickle mowers here. This is a pretty cool little setup this guy's got back here. I know over the years some small companies have made a bunch of those, and I think most of them are just people fabricate them themselves, and they really look neat. Looks like a pulling tractor there. We had vendors spread out. There's a big vendor area at the far end of this show, but you do get vendors in the show area sometimes, which is, there's no problem with it. They're showing stuff too. This group of people brings a bunch of bowling stuff every year, and this young man brought this blue tractor 2 years ago, didn't bring it last year, brought it back this year, and yes, that is a Volkswagen Beetle engine in a very large garden tractor. He drives that thing around periodically throughout the weekend, and it's just a really neat piece of custom work. Kind of a cool little setup here with a little fake, anhydrous ammonia tank. I think that started off life as a John Deere 318, but guy built a really nice articulating tractor out of it. This looks like some kind of little mini road grader looking thing. Kind of cool. And then right over here, we've got another really nice articulating tractor with this wheel horse. I'm guessing the same guy that made the John Deere made that one, because they look pretty similar how they're set up. You see this sometimes with the wheel horse guys where they take them, they lower them, and make these little hot rods out of them. Really cool piece of custom work. But you look at one of these, and it's really hard to believe that at some point somebody bought that thing and mowed their lawn with it. And now it's a little hot rod. It's kind of cool. There are two buildings that are indoor tractor displays, and you pretty much see case tractors in both of them. Almost the only exception to that is whatever the feature tractor of the show is. Like 2 years ago in 2023, it was the anniversary of the 1963 John Deere round fender. So you had a bunch of round fenders in the building, but for the most part, it's all case tractors. This year, they had these Colt garden tractors here, and from what I understand, they were made by Case, sold under another brand name, but I never even heard of Colt garden tractors, and all of a sudden, there's a whole bunch of them, and they all look beautifully restored. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that's probably one person's private collection there. But this year, the featured tractor was the Case demonstrators, and so you'll see these scattered out throughout this building and the next one. And my apologies to the Case guys if I'm wrong. Please correct me, but they were basically just normal tractors that were painted a little bit different, said demonstrator on them, and they were the tractors that the dealers and the manufacturer used at shows and stuff to demonstrate what the tractors would do. And I know some tractor companies, I don't know if Case did it, when they got done with their demonstrators, they just repainted them and resold them. So a lot of the original factory demonstrator tractors kind of got lost after they got repainted and sold off. I don't know, again, don't know if Case did that or not. But a lot of Case tractors, a lot of really cool ones at this show, and every now and then some really interesting custom work comes through on them. But for the most part, you just see a lot of really, original condition and really nice restorations. I got a couple more demonstrators over here. And looks like a whole bunch of more of these Colt tractors on the other side of the building too. And one thing that showed up at the show this year, other than all these really neat demonstrators, is you can see it starting to come into view. That is an automobile, and there's all kinds of Case, you branding and stuff all over this. I didn't know that Case ever made an automobile, but it certainly looks that way unless they bought somebody else's car and custom made, the radiator caps and logos and all that. If you know, please drop me a comment. I don't remember seeing any like literature or signs or anything as to what the deal was with this, but really neat old car, and I don't know, I guess Case might have made it. Out the back of the building, got some really neat John Deere attachments, and looky here, there's another air compressor, and this one is for sale. If you're interested, it is not cheap. I didn't know they went for that much, but I knew they weren't far from it. And another really nice round fender with a loader. If a guy was in the market to buy one, you could have a real nice one right there. One of the nice things they do at the show is they set up an area. This guy here has got a ton of tools, which really comes in handy if something breaks down. And this gentleman's here every year. He has got sales brochures, service manuals from just about anything you could imagine. And then you go through the middle of the building. And when you come out the other side, this is a little place that they set aside for people that just want to bring a tractor and try to sell it. And you're supposed to put it in here, put a tag on it with your information, and sometimes people put tags on there with their prices and their phone numbers, and sometimes they just put their name and their phone number, and sometimes there's nothing on these tractors. So I'm not sure if somebody wants to buy one of these sometimes how the heck they would actually go about doing that. I guess I've never, like this one here. It's a nice case with a sickle mower. I'm assuming it's for sale because of where it's at, but there's no tag anywhere on it. So if I wanted to buy that tractor, I have no idea how I would go about doing that today. I would come out the front of the building. Now we're out by the entrance where you come in at. Little Power King display. There's usually setting up in this spot. I think these guys usually set up here. Sometimes there's a flatbed trailer with a vendor selling. Last year there was somebody selling a bunch of stuff here, but this year we got some neat tractors. This is back where the wheel horse guys are usually set up at. Far end of the property under one of these livestock barns, and there's very few wheel horses back here. I think most of them moved off to the main part of the show, which are just kind of nice because everybody can see their stuff and kind of gets lost back here. This one is really cool. Somebody kind of just made a little rat rod looking tractor out of it with the white wall tires, and really cool looking idea that this guy came up with. And of course, more case tractors, and this is the second building with the indoor display, and it's pretty much full of case tractors again. One of these days I should walk through here and count how many case tractors show up. I know some of these guys truck in some pretty huge collections of stuff, so there's probably people in here that have one or two tractors, and there's people that have trailer loads. A lot of neat attachments in here. Not gonna lie, that's the first time I've ever seen a 3-point log splitter like that for garden tractor size machine, and that's a pretty interesting idea. I have no idea who made them or how much one of those would go for, but pretty smart idea. More of these Colt tractors again. I said, never seen them at the show. I don't know, maybe I just didn't notice them before, but man, there's a whole ton of them here this year. This is one of the craziest case tractors I've seen in here. That is a small block Chevy with straight pipes in that tractor, and all I gotta say is if he started that and drove that into this building, I don't know that I'd want to bend in the building when he did it. I suspect that thing is extremely loud, but really neat looking. Yeah, I said it's almost a bad thing when you've got so much of the same thing packed into one area, because they're all really neat tractors, but they kind of get lost one into the next. You walk down this aisle and it's just a whole bunch of the same thing. Um, it's kind of unfortunate, but it is also neat to see all the different little varieties of things too. You can just see some little different changes from year to year, and how the models differ from each other when they're all sitting next to each other like that. And now we're going back up the main road, right from the entrance here. Got a nice little crawler over there. Um, those cool little Cub Cadet riding mowers. Guy brought in a couple of really neat hit and miss engines here this morning and set up. Don't see a whole lot of that at this show, but they're pretty neat. This person's here, I think, pretty much every year. It's kind of a early 1900s like electric, um, like housewares type of display, appliances and things like that. It's kind of a cool little setup. I haven't spent a whole lot of time looking at it, but it is pretty interesting. And coming into view under this tent, got a round fender with a hydraulic lift. And you don't see too many of the hydraulic lift round fenders at this show. I don't know, maybe that's because John Deere only made them for a couple of years, but I don't know. Between a manual lift and a hydraulic lift, I'll take the hydraulic all day long. Yeah, another loader tractor. Um, you didn't see too many Ford tractors this year. Last year was a couple of people that had a bunch of them here. This year, just ones and twos scattered here and there. They got a bunch of young guys here on these two displays, and they bring in a bunch of stuff and they just have fun all weekend working on it. And it's pretty cool. See a bunch of people out here just enjoying themselves and having a good weekend. The weather was a little challenging this year, but looked like everybody had a pretty good time. So if this looks like something that would interest you, mark your calendars for mid-July and come on down to Portage, Wisconsin for Garden Tractor Daze. I hope to see you there. Thanks for watching.